Hey, what's up? So I ran a poll on Instagram asking you guys which video you'd like to see next on my channel, and about 8 of you voted to see a video on what an interview is like in the United Kingdom and how to ace them. So if you'd like to find out what an interview is like in the United Kingdom and how you can perform really well, watch this video until the end. So this video is divided into two parts. The first part is all about what an interview is like, the different stages in an interview here. The second part is about how you can actually perform really well in an interview. I would suggest that you stay until the end to get the most out of this video. In the United Kingdom, no matter which university you go to, all the university does is it supports you with your resume building and your cover letters, and they will also help you to have mock interviews, and they'll help you to design your answers. You'll have to proactively keep applying for jobs in order to get an interview. Your university is not going to help you get an interview. Some jobs will have a lot of questions on their website directly, and some jobs will require you to send them a cover letter. Now, having a cover letter makes you stand out amongst all of the applicants. They do read cover letters here, and framing a really good cover letter can help you stand out. If the job application has a bunch of questions on its website, make sure that you take your time and answer all of the questions, and try to frame your answers in such a way that your experience complements the role that you're applying to. As in, let's say you're applying for a marketing role, your answers should indicate that you've had previous marketing experience and that you can bring that experience onto this role that you're applying to. So make sure to spend some time when you're answering all of the questions. That can make a real difference. So what I would do was I would save my most wanted jobs on an Excel file along with the links, and then I would set a day aside just for application, and I would take my time, frame my answers in a really nice way. I would make those applications with a lot of dedication. Once you're done with the applying part, if you're lucky, you'll hear back from them. So usually big multinational organizations like Mercedes and Rolls-Royce will have a series of exams online. Some of the exams will be to test your aptitude. The questions will be simple mathematics, which you'll have to do without a calculator because it is time critical. You'll have a lot of questions to finish in about a minute or about 5 minutes, but they are really easy. All you need to do is you need to be in a very fresh mindset, and you need to concentrate on the questions so that you can be fast in those type of exams. And the other sort of exams that you may have are to check your communication. It'll be a basic English test where you'll have to complete sentences, correct grammar, use proper punctuation, stuff like that. Once you pass this stage, if you do well in your aptitude exam and or your English exam, the next round is usually a phone call or a phone interview where a HR will be calling to speak about your experiences. It's a meet and greet basically. During this call, all they're looking for is how you communicate. If you're actually clever enough to put across your experiences in a way where it highlights your strength and your relevance to the role that you've applied. So if you manage to pass the phone interview, the next round is usually a video interview, and this may be a group interview where you'll be amongst other candidates, or sometimes it can be a solo interview with an HR. It was all during COVID, and post-COVID these interviews may turn to a face-to-face interview. I can't be too sure, but usually right after the phone interview, if you are selected to the next round is what is called an assessment center here. Assessment centers generally are a 2-day program where you get to go to the organization, you get a tour of the organization, understand where you'll be working at. Usually people who are working there will give you presentations on what they do and what it is like to work for the organization, and you'll be able to ask them a lot of questions. You'll also learn a lot about the organization. And the second day will be a lot of group activities like role play or a group discussion, which is usually followed by a solo 1-hour long interview. What you'll need to really concentrate on is the role play and the group discussion, because this can decide whether you're going to get the job or not. And usually during a role play, they're going to trick you by giving you multiple options, like they might test if you are someone who cares about their personal KPIs or their personal agenda, or if you're someone who cares about the collective good of the whole team. They check if you're a team player, if you are humble enough. So you got to be really clever and understand the question and understand why they have created that sort of role play for you, and you'll have to enact yourself in a way where you satisfy all of the conditions of the role play and come out as a winner. For example, my role play was to speak to a manager and try to convince him to stop production and repair a machine. And it was my job to convince him without talking about my personal agenda, without talking about how it affects my personal indicators or KPIs. And then the group discussion is where you'll have a conversation or a discussion with 3 or 4 other applicants, and usually you'll be given something to read in the beginning to prepare. In this material, they will also divide the material into topics, and each of the person involved in the group discussion will have to speak his or her point of view. And what you should keep in mind is that this is a constructive discussion and not an argument. So always make sure that you are positive and you accept whatever the other person is saying, and also listen to what the other person is saying. And once you're done listening and when it's your turn, try to reciprocate and repeat what the other person said, and then agree with him, but then also add your points on to his points, his or her points, as a constructive statement. This is what they're usually looking for, because when you go out to work, you work in a team. A team can only function when all the team is working together, and if you're somebody who argues a lot, the team is going to have a lot of problems. So make sure you're very positive and always adding to the conversation. These are some of the stages in an interview. When you're speaking with a HR or a manager who's interviewing you, you've got to first understand that they're a human being. They are testing you, but then if you let the nerves build up, you're bound to make a mistake. Really, what worked for me is during the beginning of the conversation, I would try to start with small talk. So if this is somebody that I knew from a previous interview or from a previous phone call, I would start asking about their day, try to make some kind of small talk and bring up something that we spoke about last time. That's how you ease into the conversation. You feel like you're speaking to a friend. You get really comfortable. So the first tip is to get comfortable with the person that you're speaking with, and to forget that you're in an interview, to forget that you're being judged. Nerves are never good for interviews. And the first tip is to calm yourself down. Realize that the person interviewing you is also a HR, is also a human being. They're just there to understand you. So the second tip is during group discussions or role play, try to jump in, try to mingle, try to be open, always be part of the team, part of whatever is going on. Don't be shy. What I would do is, I used to be really early to most of my interviews, and most of my interviews were online. Since I was early, the people who were conducting the interviews, the HR and the managers, they would also be present there. When they were setting up, they would be having conversations with each other. They would be greeting each other, talking about driving to work, or so for example, this one time a HR and another person were talking about driving, and I just jumped in and I said, oh, I really miss having a car. I used to have a car in India. It is so comfortable to have a car. So these kind of things, you gotta jump into conversations, show them that you're not shy, you're confident. Try to be the most extroverted you can. And that doesn't mean that you have to keep talking. Realize where you can pitch in and join the conversation wherever possible. Sometimes the interviews can go on up till 1 or 2 hours long. What has helped me insanely is that once you realize that the HR is a person, and you'll be asked a lot of questions like, tell me about your strengths, tell me about the greatest challenge you faced. So whenever you're answering all of these, some personal things may come out, and the HR may agree with it and say that he or she may have also had the same trouble or the same challenges. So when stuff like that comes up, try and have a conversation with them. As in, you don't just dismiss their agreement, you dig deep into it and say, for example, in some of my interviews, I suggested meditation and I suggested some books to the HRs. I would say that I'm reading so and so and it's really good. It's been teaching me how to be more open or how to be more confident. You should definitely check out this book. So that sort of thing. If you try and build a rapport with them, if you try and speak to them as you would speak with a friend, that's going to increase your chances greatly. And some closing tips that I would like to share with you is always be quick to accept your mistake, always smile. In a group discussion, never get into an argument. Even if you know you're right, never get into an argument. Always agree with the other person and then add on to the conversation. Be confident and outspoken. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I have transferred some knowledge that is going to be of help to you. And like always, if you guys have any questions or comments, please drop them in the comments below. There's a list of all my socials on my YouTube channel. Feel free to connect with me and let's have a conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Peace.